It really isn't the Somalians or the Somali little Mogadishu community as a whole that is the problem, but in fact, it is Ilhan Omar and all her Somali terrorist friends who've stolen so much from us already that really pisses people off. That and this. Meet Peggy Flanagan. She just won the nomination for the U.S. Senate in Minnesota. Yikes, Benny Johnson's post says, and I would also like to add, Minnesota is forever fucked if elections produce Democratic wins from the likes of these culturally inappropriate buffoons, liberal whites, and anti-American jihadist black and browns like Little Miss Apple Cider Vinegar Water. But watch the future of Minnesota, seen here on SOM TV, a public school in St. Paul, where every girl is in a hijab in kindergarten.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota. I think about my friendship with Nimco. We've been friends for almost 25 years. And when I think of being part of Minnesota and growing up here, the Somali community has always been a part of my Minnesota. So I want to just encourage the community to know that we're with you. We've got your back. I am here shopping today, and just encourage other folks to show up, support our Somali businesses, support our immigrant neighbors. And I know that things are scary right now. And just know that there are more people who are looking out for you. There are more people who are here to support you than you know. I will continue to stand with the Somali community to be with you and to do all I can to return the friendship and community that the Somali community has shown me. Thank you so much.
And I might also like to add, outside of the Feeding Our Family fraud scandal, there have been numerous investigations, probes, and arrests as it relates to Omar and her Somali mobsters targeting the elderly and seniors with Medicare and hospice fraud. Side note, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who ignored billions in healthcare fraud, wants to pass socialist Medicare for all too. And so there's that. Medicaid's on the list too, but that'll have to be saved for a different time and a different video because the fight there is far more nuanced and complex.
I do not think that children have the developmental capacity or worldly experience to make decisions like this that are very adult in nature, because this is not just a cosmetic change that these interventions cause to the body. I didn't know how much it would mean for me to lose my ability to breastfeed and potentially my ability to have children at the time that I was allowed to go through this, because I still very much was a child myself. I was still growing up. No child can consent to being sterilized.
No child can consent. Did you hear Chloe there? Heartbreaking and necessary testimony from a woman who transitioned to a male as a child and then transitioned back. This, as the Trump administration is now cutting off federal aid, Medicaid funding for sex change procedures and hormones for children. President Trump took to Truth Social to weigh in on the historic decision. We are not going to pay for our innocent children to undergo these barbaric surgeries and practices, which result in unthinkable and irreversible harm to their young bodies. Dozens of U.S. hospitals have already ended this so-called gender-affirming care, and we expect many more to follow. Just think about all of the young, innocent, and perhaps confused children who will be spared. One study finds nearly 4,000 gender surgeries were performed on minors in the United States between 2016 and 2020.
And passing Medicare for all because we are going to make healthcare available and affordable once and for all.
And perhaps the only thing gayer than that would be failed Vice President candidate, failed governor, failed father, failed husband, failed American, failed public school teacher, and failed man, Tim wants to be Donald Trump so bad, Walz getting absolutely roasted, trolled for his abysmal golf game, that he's posted online and has drawn some serious eyeballs, since critics include a short list of tells many were quick to call out: a questionable swing, a disputed 220-yard drive, a tee box that looked like the rough, putting on gravel, constant battles with flies, and a quarter zip with no undershirt. He walked away with a 2-putt bogey, but critics aren't letting him hear the end of it. And whether you're a Dem or conservative, even libtard golfers can't help but call out the atrocity that is Tim Walz at the links. And the idea that posting him doing manly, masculine things, even though he's not manly nor masculine, is really more of just a cry for help and a call out as he's attempting to come out of the closet and admit and reveal his true self. All right, y'all, let's hit pause for a second, because this matters and it's really important. We talk a lot on this channel about taking control of your life, making smart choices, and not letting the system overwhelm you. But when it comes to navigating Medicare, it can feel like you're wading through a swamp of total confusion. Plans, coverage, costs, deadlines, you name it. And that's where Chapter steps in. They're not just another company. They're the real deal when it comes to free Medicare help. Chapter's team of advisors has helped thousands of people across the country find the right Medicare plan, and they do it with one goal in mind: putting you first. No fees, no pressure, just honest guidance to make sure you're covered without breaking the bank. Big insurance companies have their own agendas, but Chapter's got your back, fighting to get you the plan that works for you. So if you're approaching Medicare age or helping a loved one figure it out, don't go it alone. Call Chapter today at 270-467-2426 and start getting the clarity you deserve. Because at the end of the day, protecting your health and your wallet, well, that's not just smart. It's living life on your terms. And speaking of, since, we're talking about the gays, screenshot.
So if genitals don't define gender, then how come when they get it removed, it somehow does? And when you go in to do a transition, there's only 2 options. Nothing that these people do makes sense. And they can't describe it. They can't explain it in a way that makes sense, because it doesn't.
A few years ago, I was jogging in Navy Yard when I ran into AOC and her gay best friend. He was lovely. Took this picture of us, made sure the angle was good, really committed to getting the shot, except it wasn't her gay best friend, it was her fiance. That was the moment I knew his days were numbered. AOC is obviously gearing up to run for president. You think she's walking into a Democratic primary with a straight white man on her arm? Yeah, that man never stood a chance. AOC reportedly split from her longtime fiance, Riley Roberts, 2 years ago. This also comes as she took to social media to announce she's freezing her eggs ahead of preparation for a potential 2028 run for president. And an unhinged AOC goes and calls her ex-fiance a loser in this now deleted reel.
By a loser, I mean someone who doesn't respect women, someone who doesn't respect you, someone who doesn't treat you well, someone that doesn't support your growth as a human being.
But it seems all the socialists want a white man on their arm now. And yeah, I wonder what that's all about. Well, I take that back. Almost all of them. Mom Donnie's racist wife could care less, so long as she gets to live high on the hog in her own version of lifestyles of the rich and infamous. But the wind was taken out of her sail, and that shit got shut down real quick, as the latest report brings me the utmost joy to share with you all about how the NYPD has denied giving Ugandan Mayor Mamdani's wife a security detail when she visits Syria and Lebanon. No means no. Taxpayer-funded escort, despite her asking for it. Talk about defund the police, right? Mom Donnie tried announcing she'd have a detail, but never checked in with the NYPD commissioner, who didn't waste any time putting him in his and her place by saying the NYPD does not send officers to countries with level 4 travel advisories for discretionary reasons not linked to investigative work.
NYPD says it will not send security with Mayor Mamdani's wife when she visits Syria and Lebanon next month. And the mayor now blaming his staff for the mixed messaging. Nate Foy joins us now with the details. Nate, what happened?
Hey, Griff. So, yeah, the Big Apple's first lady is headed to the Middle East without a taxpayer-funded police escort. And it comes after sort of a high-profile back and forth between the mayor and the NYPD. A police spokesperson says, quote, the NYPD does not send officers to countries with level 4 travel advisories for discretionary reasons not linked to investigative work. Earlier in the week, a source told the New York Post that the First Lady had requested the escort, and a spokesperson for the mayor's office had confirmed that police would in fact join her. They even issued this statement saying the detail would join her on the trip per the NYPD's strong recommendation. That might be because both countries on her itinerary happen to be on the State Department's do not travel list because of security concerns. However, yesterday, after the NYPD denied those plans, Mayor Mamdani blamed the back and forth on a miscommunication.
There was a miscommunication. She hasn't yet taken this trip.
Am I allowed to call her a cunt? A cunt? See you next Tuesday? But where was I? Oh, yeah, Minnesota. Minnesota is now fucked. And although you'll soon never have to see Tampon Timmy behind the gates of the governor's mansion, you won't see Mike Lindell there either. Apparently, he lost last night, and Lindell will not concede. Claims there are anomalies in the numbers that his teams will be looking into overnight. But hey, look at that face. Look at that face. All too familiar, but that is the face you make when you've been calling election integrity racist. Then the Democrats steal your election at 3:30 a.m. But breaking just in, 3 people have been stabbed to death at a Hopkins, Minnesota home daycare, per local reports. Currently, there is a massive police presence at this horrific scene. So please pray for the victims, everyone, if you will.
Is on the north side. He's been covering this for us with one of our many crews who are out there. We have yet to be able to establish contact with Karen Scullin. She's at the other end of all of this. She would be on the south end, but Corin is over by a larger park area. Obviously, this is a residential neighborhood, a large neighborhood there off of Tyler Avenue North where this family daycare is located. So from his vantage point, he's not able to see a whole lot, but he is able to give us some updates in the situation. He's spoken to some of the officers within Hopkins Department. So let's check back in with Corin Hoggard. Corin, have you learned anything more new, or just bring us up to speed as to what you do know out there?
I'm Kelly. Haven't really learned a whole lot, but I have been seeing a few residents here trickle into the neighborhood, and a couple folks who told us they were parents. So at that point, I kind of left them alone. But they said that they were going in there to check on things. I was, just before they called me back to get on camera here, trying to reach out to a neighbor who has reached out to our newsroom about seeing some activity over there this morning, but I haven't been able to talk to them yet to confirm what they may have seen this morning. I can say,
And Peggy Flanagan says Somalians are the fabric of our state, and it's racist to expose fraud. Minnesota Democrats just nominated her for U.S. Senate.
This vile, racist stream of consciousness from President Old Man Yells at Cloud. You're disgusting. And the people of this country deserve so much better. I just watched the video of Donald Trump attacking the beautiful Somali community that calls Minnesota home. They are part of the fabric of our state. I'm literally going down Lake Street right now, which is one of the hearts of the Somali community. These are teachers and nurses and neighbors and mayors and our friends. And we are going to stand shoulder to shoulder with our neighbors. And that's just who we are as Minnesotans and what we're going to do.
Candidate Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan beat moderate Congresswoman Angie Craig to win the Democratic nomination for Senate. Flanagan was backed by Sanders, and she will face former sports broadcaster Michelle Tafoya in the general election.
And I want to be very clear that to everyone who voted for Angie Craig, I appreciate that you made your voice heard. But I also want you to know this, that I will work my tail off to earn your votes and, most importantly, your trust. Because I need you in this fight.
Meantime, Senator Amy Klobuchar will go head-to-head with
Now, Somali Representative Ilhan Omar wins her primary for re-election to Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, whereas she should be headed to Somalia, not back to Congress. We ought to be voting to get this pirate out of our country. I mean, she committed fraud to get here, right? But despite political and public scrutiny linking her to the massive $250 million Feeding Our Future pandemic aid fraud scheme in Minnesota and other fraudulent activities, I've read some reports claiming Ilhan Omar wins the primary in a 75% landslide, while others say Representative Ilhan Omar wins the Democratic primary in Minnesota's 5th Congressional District with over 80% of the votes. And the Bernie Sanders-backed Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan just beat her moderate opponent, Congresswoman Angie Craig, for the Democratic Senate nomination. She won, and now she faces sports broadcaster Michelle Tafoya in November. The progressive wing just scored another win, unbelievably, and so now Minnesota must vote for Michelle Tafoya and keep this progressive trash out of the Senate, God willing, or God help us. And although it's not Minnesota, this is Texas. This is Dallas. I meant to include this in the video and I forgot, and I'm in the middle of editing, so this will be added in post. But the Dallas airport is now installing dedicated Islamic voodoo foot washing stations inside their bathrooms.
I don't know if many of you have seen it yet, but DFW Airport has now approved wudu stations. And wudu in Islam is just a term for washing, the ritualistic washing process. And again, if you don't think that we are being invaded by Islam, think again. This Islamic pandering is disgusting. If you haven't been to DFW Airport lately, which I happened to have to be at the other day, it's like being in a Islamic state. Hijabs everywhere, and it's getting out of control, and we need to put a stop to this. We cannot just be catering and pandering to Islam left and right.
And yeah, so there's that.